Welcome to History with John. And today I want to be talking about something that's very close to my heart, actually. I've done lessons on the Falklands War before, but I was 10 years old when the Falkland Islands, or the Malvinas as they're called by Argentinians, so the islands in the South Atlantic were invaded in 1982. And as you can see, I've got loads of photos here. I actually had loads more that my dad gave me. But I've either lost them or I don't know where they've gone, but it's annoying. Anyway, but I want to share my experience with you today, and maybe you learn something, or maybe you'll find something interesting. I don't know. So have a listen to this and see if you like it or not. So first of all, where are the Falklands? Well, if you look on this map here, so the UK is here. So when the Falklands War started, I mentioned I was 10 years old when I lived in a place called Portsmouth, south of England there, and the Falkland Islands are right down here. So I think it's about 8,000 miles from the Falklands to the UK. So there you go. And then there's the Ascension Island, which is pretty much halfway there. Now, from my point of view, so this was 1982, so I was 10 years old. And obviously, as a 10-year-old boy, I didn't really know what was going on properly. But I'll tell you from my point of view what happened. So there was a ship in Gibraltar, which is a naval base, a British naval base. There was a ship called HMS Glamorgan, which was a destroyer in the Navy. And basically, my dad was getting ready to board the ship. He was going to join the ship when it came back to England. So it was heading back to England. And then the Argentinians invaded the Falkland Islands. And then obviously, I just remember my dad saying, "Oh no, we've all been called back into the base." So my dad was called back into his base, and pretty much they cancelled all leave. So my dad was told to report back to his base, which I'm trying to think. At the time, he was in a base called HMS Dryad, which is in Portsmouth. Dryad is near Petersfield. I can't remember the name of the village now, but anyway, so yeah, Southwark in over just over Portsdown Hill. And then the idea was the ship was going to come back to Portsmouth. My dad was going to join the Glamorgan, and then the Glamorgan would join the fleet and go to the Falklands. But what they decided was, so because the Glamorgan was here in, near Spain, in Gibraltar, instead of coming back to Portsmouth, it went straight to the Falklands, and other ships were rallied in Portsmouth and Plymouth and places like that, and then left as a fleet. So my dad didn't have a ship, so my dad was told to wait on standby. So he was supposed to join the Glamorgan. The sad thing is, the Glamorgan was hit by a missile, by an Exocet missile, and I remember when it came back to England, my dad joined the ship in Wales, and I went on it as a boy because they used to do a thing called Sons at Sea. So I went on it, and I remember seeing basically there was a hole above the waterline, where the missile had come in and apparently hit the canteen. Sadly, killed quite a lot of the crew, and the guy that my dad was going to replace actually got killed. So I was really, really sad. But anyway, so my dad never actually went to the Falklands during the war. He did go in 1986. He was on a patrol boat called HMS. Oh man, what was it called? Challenger or something? Forgotten his name of it now, but it was like a little patrol boat, and he hated it. He said it's horrible. So the Falklands is full of penguins and everything. It was cold. He didn't like it at all. So I don't think my dad was that bothered that he missed the war. Anyway, who would like that anyway? But anyway, so there's the map of the Falklands. Now, just want to share this with you as well. So sorry, I shouldn't have done that. But let's just go here. So yeah, so here's some. There's a picture here of the British surrendering. Um, and again, I've got a few little bits of information I was told that are interesting. So I knew my dad knew one of the guys that was in the battalion or the Royal Marines that were there, and they said they could have held out until reinforcements came. They actually got rid of the number of Marines, Royal Marine commandos. The word is they knew they were going to be invaded, and they were told from the government, basically, Mrs. Thatcher told them to surrender. So anyway, there you go. So anyway, they did, and then we know what happened afterwards. These are some of the battles maps as well of the area as well, and this is the timeline. So April 2nd invaded, and then this picture was famous because it was showing British soldiers surrendering. And I just wanted to share with you some of the pictures I had. So I've got this one. So that was me as a young lad when I went to a Navy boarding school, Royal Hospital School, and I was bugling at HMS Drake. This is in Plymouth a few years later. Me as a young boy with my mum and my sister. I was about, I don't know, 6 then. I'm not sure what ship that was, my dad's ship, but I think it was the Scylla. I can't remember. And then this is one of the pictures which you'll see in the slideshow in a minute of, I think this was the Hermes leaving Portsmouth. I was actually on one of these bastions here, my family waving a ship off. And there's some Sea Harriers on the flight deck there, sailors leaving Portsmouth Harbour. For a while, my dad was based at Yeovilton, HMS Heron, where the Sea Harrier squadrons were based. These were amazing jets because they could, I don't know if you've seen them, they had vertical takeoff as well as normal takeoff like airplanes. So they're a bit like helicopters as well. So it's quite incredible. There's another picture I've got of the flight deck of one of the aircraft carriers, which I think was HMS Hermes as well. My dad used to laugh about this picture. This is a picture of, he used to say the RAF couldn't aim. They were supposed to be bombing the airport at Port Stanley, and they see the crater there. They were apparently they missed. That was harsh. There's a picture of 2 ships in the Falklands. One was hit by a missile. I'm not sure. I can't remember. I used to know these ships' names. Unfortunately, I didn't write the names on the back. But there's one of the frigates helping the other frigates. I think it is there. This one again, I can't remember which ship this was. Got a feeling this might have been the Antelope or something, or Ardent. I can't remember. There's a frigate there and it's on fire. It's quite scary, isn't it? Again, there's another one of Port Stanley Airport. There's one of the Canberras or Pucaras, I think. Not sure. One of the Argentinian planes destroyed. I don't know how my dad got these photos, but anyway, this is an interesting one. Do you know what that is? So that's after the Argentinians surrendered, leaving their helmets and things like that at the airport. So I haven't took that photo, but there you go. This is a sad one. Some of the islanders on the Falklands, analysing some of the damage. Again, more damage there. This one's an incredible photo. I didn't even see that. It's one of the British ships. It's been hit by a missile, and there's a missile coming through it. So it was quite sad. Again, I can't remember which one that was, but what a shot that is. What a photo. Again, same 2 frigates, I think, from another angle. There's me bugling at HMS Drake. I got in trouble for this because I took my uniform and my bugle home from school without permission. I didn't know. I was in the Navy News that day, apparently. So there you go. I'm not sure if this is Glamorgan or not. I can't remember. But there's some of the damage on one of the ships, which is sad. And then in the slideshow you're looking at, there's HMS, I think it was Trafalgar, nuclear submarine that was in Plymouth at the time. There's also some photos of a Chinook helicopter in the Falklands that my dad took, and another, uh, I think just an army vehicle when my dad was in the Falklands in '86 as well. And I don't know why I put this picture in there as well. There was Prince Charles and Lady Diana. They were coming to Portsmouth as well. I think after the, no, it must have been before the Falklands actually. Yeah, so now we knew quite a few sailors. Obviously, my dad used to do field gun crew, and a lot of the men who went to the Falklands. It's a really sad story. One of my dad's friends, I can't remember his real name, but he was called Froggy. And I just remember him going to the Falklands as a really happy-go-lucky young man. And he got sunk twice. Um, I know he was picked up by the Atlantic conveyor the second time, and that got sunk as well. That was the ship that was coming down with all the supplies to the Falklands, like helicopter parts, etc., ammunition, and that got sunk. So he sank twice, and he came back. He was probably 25 years old, something like 27, and came back totally grey. And I felt so sorry for him. And one of my dad's best friends as well, Bimble Munnings, his name was. He ended up dying of cancer. He was about 40. And my dad was telling me that he was on the Intrepid, HMS Intrepid, and when one of the what are they called? One of the Argentinian jets came in and sank Carlos Water, Skyhawk, I think it was. It bombed, or tried to bomb the ship, missed it though, but the bomb hit near the ship, but it was enough to send him into the water. And apparently the shock waves through that actually didn't help anyway, and he died a few years later. My dad was really upset about that. So anyway, I just wanted to share these brief photos with you, just to share my little bit of experience. I just remember as a young boy, just to show how silly boys can be sometimes. We were singing songs like you know about Argentina and things like that, and it was just silly, really. But I did a lesson about this, and it was good to show. I saw a video on the BBC where a pilot that was shot down by a British gunner ship had met up many years later in Argentina, and how they can sort of reconcile. And I thought that was really nice. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed just looking at those photos with me, and thank you very much. See you later. Have a great day.